The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
And welcome back to another episode of The Credit Authority. I am your host, Rhonda Kulch, and I appreciate you spending some time with us today. Of course, we always want to start our shows by thanking our sponsor, Equity First. So if you are having credit and or financial challenges and you are looking for somebody to speak with, feel free to reach out to any one of their consultants. You could reach them at area code 631-714-4822. And without further ado, I am so excited for my duo that I have in the studio today. So we have EJ Attina, who is the renovation specialist for Planet Home Lending, and a good friend of mine, Pete Grosso, ReMax Integrity broker owner. So how are you, boys?
Very good, thank you.
You got to get closer to the mic.
Very good, thank you.
There you go, big boy. So today I feel like we should have some fun. I wanted to bring the two of you on because the market has been insane. So finding creative ways to make transactions work, I think, is the only way to breathe life into some of the deals lately. So by bringing in lending and bringing in real estate into one transaction, to have one show today, I think is going to be fun. So let's start with you, Pete. You are the broker owner of ReMax Integrity. You have Smithtown, Melville, and Centereach. I also know that you do a tremendous amount of fix and flip deals yourself. So when it comes to looking at some of these deals that you're looking at, what are some of the challenges that you are facing in reference to financing?
So excited to be here. This is so much fun. I love this stuff. So when it comes to fixing and flipping, you gave me some great credentials. I don't know if I do as much as you say I do, but I do a good amount.
Embellish. Go with it.
Yeah, I do enough flips to know what's going on, and I help enough investors to know the challenges. Right now, it's finding the deals and making sure that you're protected, and that's rule number one, because the market is pulling back. It's very hard to get these sellers to realize that things have changed. We're cutting down our offers by probably about 10%. And, the other ways we can do that is find cheaper or more creative ways to finance the deals so that we're maybe saving some money on the other end, because then we could still do the project. So talking to all these hard money lenders and creative finance guys like my buddy here, it's really important to know what's going on out there. So that's why I'm excited to be here.
I love it. So we're speaking about creativity, and I'm going to use that as a segue right into EJ. EJ, you have been spearheading programs for Planet Home Lending, specifically with their renovation department. I want you to walk us through some of the ways that you are helping investors and or home buyers get creative with some of your programs.
The easiest way is, identifying your budget first and foremost, seeing where your budget would lie, cap on what it is, and then finding a deal that has a home that necessarily hasn't been updated. Could be through a form of REO, on-market, off-market property, short sales, foreclosures, generally helping them identify what it's going to take to bring that house back into restoration. And also educating them on the pitfalls that most people oversee, they don't identify with. I've been doing it for over 10 years now, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of pitfalls where the ARV doesn't really come in. And as Pete mentioned, our market, it is starting to change. So having that buffer, that 10% buffer, that's an essential part. And a lot of people, they just say, oh yeah, the rent budget, it's going to be, I have a friend and he's going to do it for XYZ. And it's like, there's so much more to it than that. And educating these people is where I really help them understand and make sure that they're in line.
So I want to just break it down for the people that may be listening to make it a little bit easier to understand. I find a house. I locate a house, I find a house, however you want to put it. I put it into contract, as Pete says, make sure you're locking the deal up. I lock the deal up. It's in contract. I'm buying a home that has not been touched since 1950 because, somebody who owned it just never took the time to update it, renovate it. And now I have this opportunity, but I have only so much liquid cash to be able to renovate it. So I find a diamond in the rough based on the neighborhood and the location, but the property needs an intense amount of renovation. I can come to you and you can say to me, okay, how do I take the next step? So in other words, if I need $100,000 on top of my purchase price, are you grabbing my reno budget and then assessing based on the ARV? How are you qualifying me
100%.
for the additional amount of financing I need?
100%. The key factor of the renovation mortgage is you're eligible to put down as little as 3% and finance without taking the money out of your back pocket, essentially finance the cost of that renovation. That's the caveat about this. A lot of people go in thinking, oh, the house needs too much work. We don't have the flexibility within our budget. We only have X amount of money. That's great. No problem. We can put you in a multifamily for as little as 3.5% down. And then we could finance the cost of those renovations. Great example, a 1950 house that hasn't been updated. I just did a listing presentation for a woman. Bought the house from her father, built in 1950, hasn't updated it since. She's considering either living with it or, living and loving with it, or renovating it herself or offloading it. So that's where we came into the picture. And I said, hey, look, with the market values being where they are, we would probably have to approach a listing presentation or a listing value at X amount of money where people could come in and they could say, hey, look, we identify the house needs $100,000 worth of work. And then identifying the tool or the vehicle, I call it the vehicle, which is a renovation mortgage, which allows you to put, again, as little as 3% down and finance the cost throughout the 30 years or whatever term it is that you want to take on a mortgage to roll that into the purchase of the mortgage. You have the ability to go up to 110% of the ARV. So hypothetically, you get a house at $400, needs $100,000 worth of work. The ARV is going to be $500. You have the ability to finance up to $550,000. That's a $50,000 swing. You're rolling closing costs. You could do essentially more than what the ARV is going to come in at. So if your budget is, let's say, it comes out with, the price of building materials right now, that's been a big factor. But the price of building materials, let's say that they come back up because of surplus, issues, you still have that $50,000 window where you could roll in more than what the ARV really comes out to.
And these programs that you're offering are 203K programs, correct?
More than 203K programs. 203K is essential for anybody looking to use the house hack for a multifamily. Where a conventional, you'd have to put a minimum of 15% down for a multifamily. The 203K, that's a great caveat for it. You get 110% of the ARV. Now, conventional, we have choice renovation. We have a home style renovation. We even have an EEM, which is an energy efficient piggyback, which allows you to bring in another $6,000 for new windows, doors, maybe a ductless mini split system or a central air conditioning system. Those are some of the other programs that we facilitate at Planet as well.
So, Pete, I'm going to swing it back to you. When you hear about all these programs and options that are available, how do you think you can use this information to help in your listing presentations and or for buyers that are looking at other properties?
Yeah, I love renovation loans. They're the way to create dream houses. So all I need is for my buyers to see the layout. And then we can make their house the way that we want it. We've gone as far as doubling the size of a house where we couldn't find their dream house, so we just made it. So it's an amazing tool to use to, instead of going on a search, actually going on a build and creating the type of life that my clients want. So I love these. I think the most important thing is having great people in your corner to be able to facilitate this at the lending point, the contractors, or just find one point of contact that knows the people that you can trust that have done this before. That's everything, is having those experienced people around in your corner. Because if you get the loan, but you don't ask them who they should recommend or ask me, also ask me who I would recommend.
Pocket Pete.
Yeah, call Pocket Pete. He'll solve the problems. But you could also get hurt by getting that loan and then hiring Uncle Ted. So you have to make sure that you have all the right people that have the experience in place for all this.
Which I love. So obviously it's important to build out on the teamwork. And I think facilitating, because if I'm listening from the outside, if I'm the buyer and or the seller, if everybody's not in agreement and in alignment, I feel like as quickly as it goes into contract, it could also die on the vine. So with that in mind, if you are looking for a real estate professional or you are looking for a mortgage professional, I encourage you to reach out to either one of our guests today. Again, I am sitting with EJ Attina. He handles all of the renovation projects for Planet Home Lending located in Melville. And we have Pete Grosso, ReMax Integrity. So if you have any other questions, feel free to touch base with our guests. Until next time, stay tuned for our next guest.